Okay, I'm bringing you critical developments out of Mississippi that are shaking up the Nolan Wells case in ways nobody anticipated. The investigation just saw its first arrest, though it's not what the vast majority of people following this case were hoping for or expecting. A man by the name of Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumar is now sitting in federal custody as we speak, but here's the crucial detail that's causing confusion and frustration across social media. He's not being charged with anything directly tied to Nolan's mysterious death. Instead, he's facing serious federal charges for sending violent and graphic threats to Judge Ashley Cole, the stepmother of Warren Hudson, back in early July when emotions surrounding this case were already running extremely high. Real quick, before we dive deeper into this, if you're genuinely invested in seeing how this case unfolds, and you want detailed, accurate coverage that doesn't skip over the important details, do me a solid and tap that like button right now, hit subscribe so you're here for every single update as it breaks, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It genuinely helps push this kind of in-depth coverage to more people who need to see it. Let me back up and give you the complete picture so you understand exactly how we got here and why this arrest, while significant in its own right, has left so many people frustrated and demanding real accountability. Judge Ashley Cole is married to the father of Warren Hudson, one of the young men who was physically with Nolan Wells on that boat trip to Mississippi's Horn Island on the 4th of July. 2 days after that trip, Nolan's body was tragically found washed ashore, sparking an investigation that has been plagued with questions, inconsistencies, and a growing sense among the public that the full truth is being deliberately obscured. After Nolan's death, Judge Cole became an absolute lightning rod for public anger, scrutiny, and intense criticism when she made the decision to post a lengthy and detailed statement on her personal Facebook page defending her stepson and attempting to provide her family's version of events from that day. Here's exactly what she wrote in that now infamous post. "My husband and I were not at Horn Island at any point on July 4th. No one in our family is trying in any way to interfere with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers." Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Yes, I am a judge. I also value transparency. I apologize if anyone was offended that I deleted my social media. There were no nefarious motivations in my deleting my social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but a whole lot of negatives. Quote, unquote. Now, whether you believe that statement was appropriate or not, whether you think it was transparent or defensive, the reality is that it ignited a firestorm. People dissected every word. They questioned the timeline. They asked why a sitting judge felt the need to publicly defend her stepson before any official conclusions had been reached. And they especially took issue with the fact that she had deleted her social media accounts shortly after Nolan's death, which to many people looked like an attempt to hide something or distance herself from public accountability. 3 days after posting that initial statement, Judge Cole returned to Facebook, and this time her tone was noticeably different. She shared a series of screenshots showing the absolute flood of hateful, vile, and outright threatening messages that she and her family had been receiving. Among those messages, she highlighted several that came from an anonymous account operating under the username YayYay962. This person didn't just criticize her. They didn't just express anger. They made direct, violent threats. This account left public comments like, "There's going to be a bomb sent to your office. I'm going to get you when you leave work." Then they escalated it further with, "I got your email, your phone number, your address. What's stopping me?" These weren't vague insinuations. These were explicit threats designed to instill fear, and they worked. But it didn't stop at public comments. The user also sent direct messages to Judge Cole that were even more graphic and disturbing. One message read, "There will be a package coming to your office in the next few days. It's going to blow you away when you see it. Lol. Probably be best to have the boys there to see as well. Hard to clean, especially from a boat. Not even the FBI can stop this." That last line, "Not even the FBI can stop this," turned out to be dead wrong. Because the FBI absolutely did stop it, and they did it with the kind of precision and speed that shows exactly what federal law enforcement is capable of when they decide to prioritize something. Agents tracked Joseph Dumar all the way across the country to Sacramento, California. According to detailed reporting from the Sun Herald, agents with the FBI Safe Streets Task Force identified Dumar by meticulously tracing IP addresses tied to the Yay962 account. They connected those IP addresses to an email account, specifically moneybagIOJ196@gmail.com, and from there they were able to pull his date of birth, his phone number, and multiple street addresses connected to the profile. All of that digital breadcrumb trail, every login, every message, every piece of metadata, led them directly to Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumar as the individual behind the violent threats against Judge Ashley Cole. His federal indictment lays it out in clear, unambiguous legal language. On or about July 11, 2026, in Jackson County, in the Southern Division of the Southern District of Mississippi and elsewhere, the defendant Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumar did knowingly and willfully transmit in interstate and foreign commerce a communication containing a threat to injure the person of another, specifically a direct message on Facebook threatening to kill Ashley Cole, all in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 875. According to the court documents that have been filed and made public, Dumar is now facing up to 5 years in federal prison, a financial penalty of up to $250,000, and up to 3 years of supervised release following any prison sentence for the federal charge of interstate transmission of threatening communications. This is not a minor charge. This is a serious federal offense that carries real consequences, and it sends a clear message that threatening public officials, or anyone for that matter, over social media will result in real-world accountability. Now here's what's critically important to understand, and it's the source of a lot of the frustration and confusion you're seeing online right now. Yes, this is technically the first arrest that has any connection whatsoever to the Nolan Wells case. But it has absolutely nothing to do with what actually happened to Nolan Wells on Horn Island. It's not an arrest related to his death. It's not an arrest of someone suspected of harming him. It's an arrest of someone who made threats in response to the case. And that distinction matters enormously, because what the community, what Nolan's family, and what the thousands of people following this case online are actually calling for is an arrest directly tied to his suspicious and still unexplained death. Just days ago, audio from the emergency call that was made by Nolan's friends on the day of the incident was released to the public, and it has caused absolute chaos in the comment sections, on social media platforms, and among independent investigators trying to piece together what really happened. Many people who have listened to that audio carefully, some even claiming to have enhanced it or isolated background voices, believe it contains details that are deeply incriminating. That audio recording is now reportedly under active investigation by Nolan's legal team, including civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump and his grieving family who are desperate for answers. And speaking of that audio, we have major news to share. We now have access to the official audio from the emergency call, and we'll be playing portions of it for you in just a moment. Attorney Benjamin Crump and the legal team have announced they've retained some of the foremost audio engineering experts in the country to review those audio tapes from the emergency call in their entirety. This is a huge development, and you're going to hear directly from the officials involved in a press conference that just took place.
Are announcing that we have the audio from the officials, and we have retained and are consulting with some of the foremost audio engineering experts to review those audio tapes from the CETO call in its entirety.
And the public response to that audio has been nothing short of explosive. People are not holding back. One person breaking down their thoughts online said, "At this point, we're watching an entire community actively cover up what really happened to Nolan Wells. From the boat captain to the grandfather to the kid who made the call, to the dispatcher who took it. You heard everything going on in the background of that call. You were clearly concerned because you heard what those people were saying in real time. That had you on high alert. You were trying to figure out, let me get somebody out there fast. But at the same time, how in the world did you get the grandfather's phone number? How did you know to call him personally, but somehow you don't know if he's one of your regular clients or not? Y'all were absolutely trying to sweep this under the rug. The boy panicked and called the actual authorities he was supposed to call. That's the only reason the dispatcher even got involved. Now you want to have private conversations with the grandson behind closed doors. Lock all of them up. From the grandfather, to the kids, to the girls that were reportedly on that boat too. We didn't even know girls were there until recently. Lock every single one of them up. The whole community, if that's what it takes. And why isn't anybody with real knowledge just coming forward and saying something? Come on now. Another voice, equally frustrated and demanding justice, added, "If the narrative we're being fed is that we shouldn't care about what happened to Nolan because he was allegedly drinking or using drugs, then what absolutely needs to happen is that every single adult who was on that island, including the ones driving the boats, supervising, facilitating, and turning a blind eye to underage drinking and drug use, needs to be arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor." And I'm absolutely sure there were multiple people under the age of 18 on that island who were participating in the exact same activities. So if we're going to sit here and act like Nolan is the only one who did anything wrong, if that's the angle the media and authorities want to take, then arrest everybody who was on that island engaging in those same illegal activities. Let's see how that plays out. These aren't just random angry comments. These are people who feel like they're watching a system protect certain individuals while a young man's death gets swept under the rug with convenient explanations and incomplete investigations. Now, one name that has come up repeatedly, both in the audio and in online discussions, is Bart Edmonson. His name can clearly be heard being yelled in the emergency call audio, and because of that, he has faced an enormous amount of public suspicion and direct accusations online. In response, Bart Edmonson has now hired his own attorney to aggressively push back against any and all accusations that he had anything whatsoever to do with Nolan's death. During a recent segment on News Nation, Edmondson's attorney, Russell Latino, came on to dispute the viral versions of the audio that have been circulating and to argue forcefully that what people believe they are hearing has been doctored, manipulated, or at the very least paired with wildly inaccurate transcripts that are leading people to false conclusions. The host pressed him directly, saying, "There's allegedly enhanced audio from the emergency call that claims to capture a background conversation where people are discussing or explaining the murder of Nolan. The word Bart is clearly in there, and I know real people with significant platforms are pointing fingers directly at your client." Latino didn't back down. He responded confidently, "We don't see any legitimacy whatsoever in doctored transcripts or manipulated audio files that conveniently come paired with a transcript, which is honestly a well-known psychological trick that people use when dealing with unclear or garbled audio. If you tell someone what they're supposed to be hearing, they'll hear it, even if it's not actually there. People are fabricating things wildly and recklessly, and the very real consequence of that is that you now have individuals, including my client, who are in genuine, legitimate fear for their lives because of online mobs who have decided they're guilty without a shred of actual evidence. Our position is straightforward. We can't control the entire internet, but we can set the record straight. My client's only role that day was to help drain water from a boat that was reported to be in distress. There were over 20 people spread between those two boats. Every single one of them saw exactly what he did. Every single one of them saw what did and didn't happen. And there were at least 2 entirely credible witnesses who personally saw Nolan Wells alive and well on Horn Island, a full hour and a half after those boats had already left and gone back to shore. That's a strong defense, and it's one that directly contradicts a lot of the speculation and accusations flying around online. But here's the problem. Without full transparency, without the release of official reports, and without clear answers from authorities, people are left to fill in the blanks themselves. And that's exactly what's happening. Meanwhile, in what many are interpreting as a genuine attempt to find the truth, Warren Hudson's father, who is married to Judge Ashley Cole, has publicly announced that he is putting up a substantial $50,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest and conviction of anyone who may be responsible for Nolan Wells' death. That's not an insignificant amount of money, and to many, it signals that the family genuinely wants answers, even if those answers implicate people close to them. But here's where things get even more complicated, and frankly more frustrating for everyone demanding justice. On Thursday, it was officially announced that Mississippi state officials have finally completed Nolan's first autopsy, which was conducted all the way back on July 7th, just days after his body was recovered. You would think that would be a moment of clarity, a moment where facts could finally start replacing speculation. But instead, those results are being kept completely private, locked away as the district attorney prepares to present evidence to a grand jury. And here's the part that has Nolan's family and their legal team absolutely furious. They still haven't been allowed to see those results either. Nolan's own family, the people who buried him, the people who are grieving him, the people who have every moral and legal right to know what happened to their son, have been shut out of access to his own autopsy report. Attorney Benjamin Crump, who has handled some of the highest profile civil rights cases in the country, is now involved in pushing hard for transparency, but so far, the state is holding firm. Now, I want to take you directly to the press conference that was held recently, where attorney Benjamin Crump, Nolan's parents, and other attorneys made major announcements about the case. In this press conference, they announced they now have the official audio from the emergency call and have brought in top audio engineering experts to analyze it. Nolan's parents are not backing down, the legal team is not backing down, and the evidence is starting to pile up in ways that cannot be ignored. So let's talk about what this all means. Let's talk about it in the comments, because I genuinely want to hear your perspective. How do you feel about this arrest of Joseph Dumar? On one hand, it shows that the FBI has the capability, the resources, and the willingness to track someone down quickly and efficiently when they make threats. They traced IP addresses, emails, phone numbers, and physical addresses to find one person making threats online. They did it fast, they did it thoroughly, and they did it across state lines. So the question becomes, does that give you any confidence that they could apply that same level of effort and expertise to finding digital evidence, text messages, social media activity, or any other electronic trail that might lead to real answers in Nolan Wells' death? Or does it frustrate you even more, because it shows that when they want to act, they absolutely can, but for some reason, the same urgency doesn't seem to be applied to finding out what actually happened to a young man who died under highly suspicious circumstances? The legal team now has top audio experts analyzing the emergency call. They have oceanic experts examining the tides and currents to determine if the official story even makes physical sense. They're coordinating with the district attorney to examine phones. They're pushing for access to Nolan's throat tissue that was mysteriously missing from his body during the independent autopsy. Every stone is being turned over, every question is being asked, and the family is not going to stop until they get real, verifiable, transparent answers. And I'll continue to keep you updated as this story develops, as more documents get released, as the audio analysis comes back, and as the pressure for truth and accountability continues to build. If you want to be here when the next major development drops, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because this case is far from over, and the truth is coming whether certain people want it to or not. Stay tuned.